My impoverished roommate was obsessed with mafia romance novels, dreaming of becoming a mob boss's wife. She flew into a rage upon learning I'd donated blood to the Chamber of Commerce Heiress and was subsequently invited as an honored guest to the young master's private residence. On the rooftop, she screamed at me, "I've got the same rare blood type. You deliberately kept this chance to meet the Chamber Prince from me. You just can't stand to see me succeed. You deserve to die." She pushed me off the roof, my body splattering on impact as I died instantly. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the moment before donating blood at the hospital. My roommate dashed past me shouting, "I'm Rh negative, take mine." Monica's shoulder rammed into me as she ran by, snapping me out of my daze. The pungent smell of hospital disinfectant hit me. I'd been reborn, in my past life. She actually tried to stop me from donating blood, saying rare blood types like Rh negative were too precious to waste on strangers, but this time, she's rushing to donate instead. Could she have been reborn too? In my previous life, I had her accompany me to the hospital when I had minor stomach discomfort. Coincidentally, there was a Rh negative patient in urgent need of blood transfusion. Though unaware of the patient's identity, I didn't hesitate to donate. Only later did I realize the person I'd accidentally saved was none other than the heiress of Ocean Alliance, the capital's most powerful business conglomerate. In gratitude, Ocean Alliance wired me a fortune and sent a fleet of 10 luxury cars to my school gate to escort me home. After that, Sean, the young master of the conglomerate, arranged my off-campus status with chauffeured luxury cars for daily school commutes. Rumors started swirling that I'd become the future madam of the business empire. My financially struggling roommate Monica is obsessed with mafia films and TV dramas. She constantly fantasizes about some crime boss falling for her and making her the wealthy, powerful mafia queen. In our dorm, she hysterically confronted me. "You knew it was Yvette who needed the blood transfusion that day, didn't you? You know how much I idolized the syndicate. Why didn't you tell me? Had I known it was for Yvette, I would have donated blood in a heartbeat. Then Sean would be in love with me now." I've explained countless times that I had no idea who needed the transfusion, but she refuses to believe me. Later, she lured me to the rooftop and pushed me off. Monica looked deathly pale after donating blood. They must have taken quite a bit from her. She shot me a triumphant look. "What are you staring at? I'm Yvette's real savior this time." I played dumb. "Yvette? You mean the Yvette from Alien Group?" Monica studied me carefully, as if trying to discern whether my ignorance was genuine or feigned. In the end, my acting managed to fool her. "That's right. It's the capital's top merchant guild, the Alien Group. They even took my number, surely to properly express their gratitude. Once I become the Alien Group's madam, I'll have your back." Monica's self-satisfied grin vanished abruptly, replaced by a venomous glare directed at me. "Don't think just because you're also Rh negative you can cozy up to Miss Yvette. You'd better not get any ideas, or we won't even be friends anymore." "Monica, you're overthinking it. I'm terrified of needles and blood draws. Besides, I've no interest in the business circle. I'm not competing with you." "You'd better mean that." Back in the dorm, she immediately started showing off to our other 2 roommates. "Listen up, girls. I'm about to become the lady of the house at Alien Group. From now on, you'd better address me as madam. Since we're dorm mates, I might just throw you a bone and look out for you." Linda leaned in. "Spill the tea. What's going on?" Monica immediately launched into a dramatic, embellished retelling of her blood donation heroics. Grace piped up, "Wait, Wendy, aren't you Rh negative? How come you didn't donate blood for the Chamber of Commerce Heiress?" "Monica's already gone. We don't need that many people." Linda teased me. "What a shame. If you'd donated blood, you could have been the young mistress's savior." Monica shot me a look. "She's not that lucky." "True, you can have that good fortune instead." The very next day, Alien Group sent over a mountain of thank you gifts. Our entire dorm room was overflowing with luxury brand items, and Monica even received a hefty sum deposited directly into her bank account. Monica was over the moon, flaunting her new Chanel bag. "I just saw this on their website. It costs 200 grand. Have you peasants ever seen anything this expensive? Couldn't afford this in your wildest dreams." Linda and Grace were practically green with envy, while I just watched quietly from the sidelines. No one understands better than me what I've sacrificed beneath these glittering luxuries. "Wendy, why so quiet? Regretting not donating blood to Yvette that day? Too late for regrets now. You've missed your chance." I smiled. "Indeed, what a pity. My opportunity's gone." The next day, Yvette's family sent 10 luxury cars to pick Monica up for a visit to their ancestral home. Monica's grin stretched ear to ear as she saw the perfectly aligned row of black Ferraris. "See that? This is the prestige of being the future crime syndicate's first lady. Born lucky, destined for greatness." Chin held high, she strutted into the lead Ferrari with regal airs. She carried herself like she already owned the underworld throne. That evening, Monica was dropped off by a luxury car again. The moment she stepped into the dorm, we could tell something was off with her complexion. Linda asked, "Monica, you look so pale. Are you feeling sick?" "No, Yvette wasn't doing well, so I donated some blood to her again." "Didn't you just donate blood for her a few days ago? Why are you doing it again?" "She has severe aplastic anemia and requires frequent blood transfusions." "What? Can your body handle that?" "Wendy has the same rare blood type. Maybe you two should take turns donating for the young mistress." Linda made the suggestion casually, but Monica flew into a rage. She shoved Linda right away. "You're really siding with Wendy, huh? Is Wendy your damn sugar daddy? You're so worked up about her not donating blood for Yvette. Think she'll take you in as her maid if she climbs the social ladder?" Linda's eyes welled up with angry tears. "How could you say that, Monica? I was just looking out for you. Save your fake concern. I know you're full of shit. You want Wendy to donate blood. She's not even worthy." Her venomous glare swept over us. "I'm the only future lady of Halion Group. Tuck away your petty schemes, or I'll make sure you regret it." Linda tried to confront Monica, but I held her back. "Cut it out. We can't mess with Monica now." Monica looked at me arrogantly. "Wendy, you know your place." Grace made Monica a cup of brown sugar water. "Drink this to replenish your blood. You've got good eyes." She took the cup, took a sip, then immediately spat it out and hurled the cup at Grace. "Are you trying to scald me to death? If I get burned, your entire family's assets couldn't begin to cover the damages." The scalding brown sugar water splashed across Grace's chest. Wearing just a thin camisole in summer, the boiling liquid made her scream in agony. I rushed her to cool the burn with running water, but even so, angry blisters had already risen across her chest. Grace yelled through tears, "Monica, I made you brown sugar water out of kindness, and this is how you repay me. Not only did you reject it, but you also splashed it all over me. Look how badly you've scalded me. You should have let it cool first. I'm being generous by not holding you accountable. Serves you right for getting burned." I suppressed my anger and said, "Monica, the brown sugar cubes won't dissolve without boiling water. And couldn't you have tested the temperature before drinking? As the wife of the chamber president, my water should be served at the perfect temperature. If I have to test it myself, what's the point of having you around?" Linda snapped. "We're not your servants, and since when did Sean propose to you? Stop acting like you're the mob boss's wife." Monica slapped Linda across the face. "Who do you think you're talking to? I could have you expelled before you blink." I quickly stepped between them. "Monica, Sean wouldn't be happy if he knew you're getting roommates expelled over petty drama." Monica glared at me viciously. "How dare you threaten me?" "Not a threat, just a friendly reminder." Monica scoffed. "Mark my words, you'd better show me some respect from now on. I'm not like you people. We're not even the same class. You're just a bunch of lowlifes." The three of us thought Monica had lost her mind, so we all ignored her. Within 2 days, Yvette's family sent a car to pick Monica up again. Monica made sure we noticed. "Ever seen a Bugatti before? You'd never lay eyes on such luxury without me. Bunch of country bumpkins. Feast your eyes." Linda clenched her fists, spotting the butler exiting the car. She immediately dragged me toward them. "Hello, if your young mistress needs a blood transfusion, my roommate here can help. She's got RH0 blood too." With that, Linda shot Monica a triumphant look. The butler immediately asked me, "Miss, would you like to visit the old mansion with us?" Before I could respond, Monica blurted out, "She's not going. She can't donate blood. She has hepatitis A." Linda snapped angrily, "That's nonsense. Wendy is perfectly healthy and doesn't have hepatitis." Monica retorted defiantly, "Haven't you noticed how yellow her scara has been these past 2 days? That's a classic hepatitis symptom. Having her donate blood for Miss Yvette would be downright dangerous." I held Linda back and told the butler, "I haven't been feeling well lately and need a medical checkup, so I'll have to decline the invitation." Monica quickly got in the car. "Let's hurry, Sean and Yao Yao are waiting for us." After the car drove off, Linda stomped her foot in frustration. "Wendy, honestly, when the butler invited you, you should have just gotten in the car. Why mention feeling unwell? If they actually think you have hepatitis A, how will you get the chance to donate blood for Miss Yvette?" "That's exactly what I want. No chance at all. I'm not feeling well. Could you come with me to the hospital for a checkup?" We went to the hospital together, and the tests confirmed I had hepatitis A. Fortunately, we caught it early and it wasn't serious, so I just got some medication and went home. "Wendy, how did Monica know you had hepatitis A? Is she psychic or something? Unless she poisoned you. She probably didn't want you donating blood for Miss Yvette. Think about it, hepatitis A isn't airborne, but it absolutely spreads through blood transfusions. By poisoning you with the virus, she infected you without risking herself while preventing you from donating blood to Miss Yvette. That woman's pure evil. It's definitely her. I should actually thank her. I was racking my brains trying to dodge Yvette's blood-sucking family, and Monica just did me a huge favor that evening." Monica video called me. Wendy, I'm not coming back tonight. Actually, I'm moving out for good. Sean got me this insane luxury suite. The bathroom alone is bigger than your entire living room. Check this out. She pans her phone around the room, and get a load of my silk pajamas. Your dad's whole monthly paycheck wouldn't cover one sleeve of these. Sean's even sending me to Bali with Yao Yao for vacation. You probably won't see me again until next semester. Just like that. Monica didn't show up for class all week. After she'd been missing for 10 whole days, I got a call. Wendy, it's Monica. Call the police. I'm dying. Help me. Before I could say anything, the line went dead. After a moment's hesitation, I decided not to call the police but to inform our teacher first. The teacher finally reached Monica through various channels, and she assured us she was safe. Monica returned to the dormitory that very evening. She was wearing heavy blush and dark lipstick. She looks completely drained, the light gone from her eyes. Monica, are you okay? Monica hesitated, words caught in her throat, before finally murmuring, I'm fine. How could she be fine? I've lived through this exact torment in my past life. In my past life, after I donated blood to Yvette, her family transferred a substantial sum of money to me as well. Later, they took me back to their ancestral home and even threw a special gratitude ball in my honor. Eventually, Yvette's family invited me to their estate again, but the moment I arrived, their private physician restrained me and forced me to give blood to Yvette. That day, they drained 700 milliliters of blood from me, leaving me so dizzy and weak I couldn't even stand. I had no choice but to stay overnight at their mansion. Eventually they arranged a release for me, forcing me to move into the ancestral home. Whenever Yvette needed me, I had to serve as her blood bag, ready to supply her at any moment. My health deteriorated rapidly, and I wanted to break free from Hellion Group's control. They caught wind of my intentions and straight up locked me in the basement, stripping me of my freedom. During those days in the basement, I lived without dignity, just a breathing blood bag. They only released me after I repeatedly promised to cooperate with blood donations. The frequent blood loss even gave me sepsis in my past life. When Monica learned how I got involved with Hellion Group, she volunteered to donate blood to Yvette too. To stop her, I had to say Yvette's family only recognizes me now. It's too late for her to go. I did it all to protect her, yet she misunderstood me and ended up killing me in cold blood. If she's so eager to take my place, then let her have this blessing. The next day, Monica went to class with us and fainted in the classroom. We rushed her to the hospital. The fainting spell was caused by severe anemia. Linda stood arms crossed in the distance. Monica, how's life as the Chamber of Commerce's First Lady? When's the big day with Sean? You simply must invite us country bumpkins to your wedding. We've never seen anything fancy before. Monica caught Linda's sarcastic tone but chose to ignore it completely. Wendy, you're my best friend. Sean's throwing a party this weekend. Come with me. I can't. My hepatitis A hasn't cleared up yet. People of their status would probably be uncomfortable with that. What? Your hepatitis A still isn't better after all this time? That's impossible. Your scara has already returned to white. Are you just making excuses because you don't want to go? Linda and Grace would kill for this opportunity, but I'm not taking them. You're only getting this because we're closest. I don't care, you're coming with me this weekend. It's not that I don't want to go, I'm genuinely not better yet. Monica glared at me. Cut the act. You're coming this weekend whether you like it or not. I'm doing you a favor by inviting you. Don't push your luck. If you refuse, I'll have someone drag you there. Linda blurted out. Why are you so insistent on Wendy attending? You're up to no good, aren't you? Monica shot her a look. Mind your own business. Our Seagull Alliance group isn't someone you want to mess with. I tugged at Linda's sleeve and gave her a meaningful look. Relax. Monica wouldn't actually hurt me. Come on, I'd never hurt Wendy. I'm her best friend. When the weekend came, Monica practically dragged me to the old Yvette family estate. This place was where my nightmares began, and even now, seeing these familiar sights makes me shiver uncontrollably. Monica noticed something was off. What's wrong with you? It's nothing. I've just never seen such a huge mansion before. Feels a bit intimidating. Look at you, scaredy cat. She led me into the main hall, which was completely empty, nothing like a party at all. Didn't you say we were coming to a party? Where is everyone? I just found out on our way here that Yao Yao had another episode, so the party's cancelled. She urgently needs a blood transfusion now, but I'm slightly anemic myself. You'll have to step in. I can't. My hepatitis A hasn't cleared yet. Donating blood to Miss Yvette would infect her. Stop lying. You recovered ages ago. She clapped her hands, and someone immediately came to restrain me. It's just drawing a little blood. Won't kill you, and you'd become Miss Yvette's lifesaver. What a blessing falling into your lap. Don't be ungrateful. Spotting the butler of Yvette's family standing in the corner, I immediately shouted, You know damn well I have hepatitis A. Yet you're forcing me to donate blood to Miss Yvette. What's your game? She's already frail. If she contracts hepatitis A, it could easily be fatal. The butler immediately strode toward me. You have hepatitis A. Yes, Monica knew about this. I don't understand why she's still pressuring me to donate blood. Monica immediately explained. Butler George, don't listen to her nonsense. She recovered from hepatitis A long ago. She's just making excuses to avoid donating blood. I was furious. Monica, you're being downright malicious. Miss Yvette has been so kind to you. Why are you using me to harm her? What nonsense are you spouting? I'd never dream of harming Yo-Yo. The butler's face darkened instantly. Just draw a vial of her blood for testing and we'll know the truth. Butler George, there's no need for such hassle. She's just making excuses to avoid donating blood. Just take it directly. For the young mistress's safety, testing is mandatory. Monica then turned to me. Just wait. When the test proves you're fine, you'll have offended the Halian group, and even I won't be able to save you. The test results came back in no time. Butler George's brows furrowed as he read it. Then he flung the report at Monica's face. See for yourself what this says. How dare you bring a hepatitis A carrier to donate blood for the young mistress? This is clearly attempted murder. Monica stared at the report in shock. This can't be. How could you still be infected after all this time? This makes no sense. What's so hard to understand? I have a weak constitution and take forever to recover from illnesses. How many times must I tell you I have hepatitis A? I can't donate blood for Miss Yvette, yet you never listen. Monica dropped to her knees in terror. Mr. George, I swear it wasn't intentional. I thought Wendy was lying to me. If I'd known she was still sick, I wouldn't have dared let her donate blood for Yvette even if you paid me double. Butler George lashed out with a kick, sending Monica sprawling across the floor. Yvette, you dare address the young mistress so casually. You're nothing but her blood bag. Don't flatter yourself. I see your game. You brought this diseased wretch here to sabotage the young mistress's treatment. Monica collapsed to her knees in terror. I didn't do it. How could I ever harm the young mistress? I'd be signing my own death warrant. Please believe me, Mr. George. It was truly an accident. It's her. She deliberately hid the truth. She knew I wouldn't believe her, yet she couldn't be bothered to explain properly. This is all her fault. Monica pointed at me, trying to shift all the blame onto my shoulders. I've told you countless times already. How much clearer do you need me to be, Mr. George? If I truly intended to mislead Monica, I wouldn't have asked you to verify anything. I could have just donated my blood and left without this fuss. Besides, I've never even met the young mistress. Why would I want to harm her? Butler George found my reasoning sound and promptly slapped Monica twice across the face. This was clearly your scheme to harm the young mistress, yet you dare shift blame. If your blood weren't still useful, you'd already be chopped into pieces and fed to the dogs. Monica trembled like a leaf. I was wrong. This is entirely my fault. Please, give me another chance. Someone, draw her blood now. Monica was pinned down as a thick needle plunged into her arm, her face rapidly turning deathly pale. The blood bag swelled visibly while Monica's complexion grew increasingly ashen. I couldn't hold back. Stop the transfusion. She'll die if you take more. With a gesture from Butler George, the doctor withdrew the syringe from Monica's arm. We'll spare your life for now. That's enough blood today. Stay away from your hepatitis-infected classmate. Catch any disease, and you're done for. Monica kept sobbing in fear. I understand. Butler George turned to me. Remember, you're here as a guest tonight. One word about this to outsiders, and you and your family will regret it. Got it. Got it. My lips are sealed. Get the hell out of here. I hurried toward the exit, with Monica trying to follow me, only to be blocked by the bodyguard at the door. Monica pleaded tearfully, Butler George, please let me return to school. If I keep missing classes, the teachers and students might notice something's wrong that would only cause trouble for you all. I turned back and said, Butler George, it's perfectly safe for Monica to stay in the dorm. My hepatitis A isn't airborne, she can't catch it. Butler George pondered for a moment. Mind your tongue when you return. The last lesson should have taught you well. Remember what's to be said and what's not. I understand. I'll never dare do it again. The moment we stepped out of the old house and onto school grounds, we both breathed a sigh of relief. Monica looked utterly bewildered. How can you still laugh at a time like this? Why shouldn't I laugh? I'm not you. I never imagined your life as the Merchant Association's first lady would be like this. So you're gloating now, Monica fumed, her face contorted with anger. Why did you get special treatment when donating blood to Yvette in your past life? Sean even married you. Why has everything changed for me? This wasn't supposed to happen. I played dumb on purpose. What past life are you talking about? Back then, everyone spread rumors that Sean was madly in love with me, that I was about to marry into wealth and become the business association's first lady. Truth is, Those were all baseless gossip fabricated by delusional fangirls. In reality, he treated me no differently than anyone else in Yvette's family. He never even gave me a proper glance. Only a daydreamer like Monica would actually believe in this business tycoon falls for me fantasy. Something's still not right here. Monica looked me up and down. You little temptress, you must be playing dirty. If fortune favors the bold, then I'll have to step up my game too. What are you even talking about? I don't get it at all. You don't need to understand. Clearly Monica had made up her mind to use extreme measures against Sean, a suicidal decision if there ever was one. I secretly observed her purchasing those special medications online. 2 weeks later, Monica regained her former vitality. She tossed her head back arrogantly. Finally, my wedding with Sean is around the corner. Once I'm pregnant with his child, I'll officially become part of Yvette's family. I was stunned. You actually slept with Sean? Of course, Sean's crazy about me. We did it 7 times in one night. Really? Then why is he still engaged to the Xing family heiress? Monica's voice shot up an octave. What Xing family heiress? Sean is only marrying me. See for yourself. It's trending everywhere. Monica immediately grabbed her phone and saw the news confirming Sean's engagement to the Xing heiress. She trembled with rage. How could he? After all those nights together. He's marrying someone else. I was a virgin when we met. He was my first. No way. I have to confront him and get this straightened out. She frantically called Sean, only to find he'd already blocked her number. Unable to reach Sean, she sat in her dorm room sobbing uncontrollably. Monica, I heard Sean and Yvette absolutely love that cha-chanting on North Street. They go there every week around this time. Maybe try your luck there. After my gentle reminder, Monica set off immediately. I quietly followed her to the coffee shop across from that cha-chanting and took a seat by the window. From my vantage point, I could clearly see the Sean-Yvette siblings sitting by the window. Just then, Monica rushed to the restaurant entrance and was promptly stopped by the bodyguards. She was still acting tough. Do you know who I am? I'm your boss's girlfriend. I even saved your young mistress's life. The bodyguard shoved her. You, worthy of being our boss's girl? If you don't own a mirror, piss on the ground and take a look. You're not even fit to polish his shoes. I could hear every word clearly from my position. I'd spent a fortune on covert listening devices planted in Monica's bag just to enjoy the spectacle. Monica kept charging forward. You snobbish bastards. I am your boss's woman, and I'm carrying his child. Let her in. At Sean's command, the bodyguards immediately stepped aside. Monica stormed into the tea restaurant and confronted Sean. You promised to marry me the moment I got pregnant, then why are you engaged to someone else? I'm carrying your child. Call off that engagement right now. Yvette scoffed. Even if you were carrying my brother's child, which you're not, you'd never set foot in our family. Donating blood a few times doesn't make you special. A country bumpkin like you, barely scraping through college on charity, someone of your standing dreaming of marrying my brother. How delusional. Monica choked back tears. How dare you? I've saved your life countless times. I'm your savior. Bullshit. You got paid top dollar, more than you'd earn selling blood elsewhere. This was a business transaction, nothing more. My savior. Don't flatter yourself. Without you, my brother would have found another Rh0 donor. Consider it an honor we chose you at all. Play by the rules, and we'll let you keep your dignity, but with all these demands of yours, if you don't want to walk among men anymore. The kennel's always waiting, Monica snapped. Damn it, Sean, say something. I'm carrying your child. That's biologically impossible. The hell it is. We've slept together dozens of times. The folic acid I gave you is actually long-term birth control pills. What did you just say? Bro, this bitch tried to fake a pregnancy to trick you. Did she really think we'd fall for such an obvious scam? Monica's legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the floor. She crawled to Sean's feet, clutching his pant leg. Sean, I love you so much. How could you do this to me? You promised to marry me. You can't break your word. Sean lost his patience and kicked her away violently. Letting you into my bed was already more than you deserved. Don't even dream about anything else. Teach her a lesson. Knock some sense into that delusional head of hers. Bodyguards from both sides swarmed in, kicking and punching Monica mercilessly. Her agonized screams were so piercing they made my ears ache. Bro, don't beat her to death. If she dies, you'll have to find me a new blood source. I know. They know when to stop. After the beating, 2 bodyguards dragged Monica out and threw her through the doorway. Sean stood at the doorway, looking down at her with disdain. I'll let it slide this time. Dare to entertain such delusions again, and I'll take your life. Seeing the situation was nearly resolved, I quickly slipped out through the coffee shop's back door. I got back to the dorm before Monica. When she returned, her face was swollen like a balloon. Seeing her bruised face and limping gait, Linda immediately asked, "Who did this to you? Was it one of your boyfriend's enemies?" Grace chimed in, "That's way too brutal. What kind of grudge could warrant this? Monica, do you need to go to the hospital?" Monica snapped with a grimace, "I'm fine. Mind your own business." She suddenly grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the exit. "Come outside with me. We need to talk. Why can't we just talk in the dorm? It's way too hot outside." Monica remained silent as she dragged me all the way to the deserted sports field. "Wendy, did you also get reborn? Did you know how Yvette's family treats blood donors? Is that why you avoided donating this time around? You only hate me because I wronged you in our past life. That's why you're watching me descend into hell now. Look how thoroughly you've ruined me. Are you happy now?" I kept playing dumb. "Monica, what are you talking about? Past lives, present lives. Did someone hit you too hard? Let's get you to a hospital." I reached for Monica's hand, but she violently shook me off. "Stop pretending. If you hadn't been reborn, why wouldn't you donate blood to Yvette?" "I wanted to donate blood for Miss Yvette, but I've got hepatitis A. You think I asked for this? Not only do people avoid me, but it's downright miserable. What's really weird is how I suddenly caught this disease. I'm usually so careful about hygiene." Monica's expression shifted instantly, eyeing me with undisguised suspicion. "What's all this past life talk? Why do you keep bringing up reincarnation? Don't tell me you've actually been reborn." Monica hesitated. "No, it's just, I've been mentally exhausted lately, dreaming constantly. I'm starting to confuse reality with dreams. Maybe you're under too much stress. You should see a doctor." Monica suddenly grabbed my hand. "Wendy, I'll be straight with you. Yvette's family treats me like livestock. I'm just Yvette's blood bag. If this continues, they'll drain me dry. You're smart. Help me figure a way out." "Police won't work. Hellion Group's influence is too strong for local cops to handle. Last time I secretly called you, they beat me half to death and threatened to kill my whole family if I contacted the police again. I truly don't know what to do anymore. You have to save me, or I'll die." I pretended to be shocked and kept confirming with her for quite a while. Then I tried helping her brainstorm. "There's no way you can take down Hellion Group alone. But after what Yvette's siblings did to you, killing them would be justified. But with all those bodyguards around them, you wouldn't stand a chance at killing them. If only they'd suddenly come down with some fatal illness and drop dead on their own." Monica fumed. "Those siblings are disgustingly healthy. Yvette could live to 90 by sucking the life out of others. If I were you, I'd catch some disease and pass it to them. We're all going down anyway, might as well take those two with us." Monica stared at me in shock, and I quickly backtracked. "I was just thinking out loud. This is basically a mutual destruction scenario. You'd better play along with them. At least staying compliant keeps you alive for now. Taking them down in this lifetime, that ship has sailed." I'd laid it all out. Monica only had two options left. Either go down with Yvette's siblings in flames, or keep crawling through life like a beaten dog. I bet she'd choose the former. Her dream of becoming the Merchant Guild's matriarch was shattered. She'd rather destroy it than let anyone else have it. Sure enough, news of Yvette's sudden death soon followed. The cause turned out to be an immune system disorder that triggered hematopoietic failure. Even with Sean's stem cell transplant, they still couldn't save her. While Hellion Group was investigating Yvette's sudden immune disorder, Sean collapsed at a critical moment and was rushed to ICU. Multiple tests revealed he'd contracted the same immune disease. His recent bone marrow donation coupled with the illness caused total immune system collapse, leading to multiple organ failure. After 2 weeks in the ICU, he still didn't make it. With its leadership gone, Hellion Group descended into chaos instantly. Power struggles erupted within the conglomerate as factions vied for control, seizing the opportunity. Police dismantled the city's largest crime syndicate, which controlled half the capital and was involved in numerous illegal operations. Piece by piece, Monica burst into laughter when she saw the last member of Hellion Group getting arrested. "Did you see that, Wendy? Hellion Group is finished. A massive conglomerate like that, brought down by little old me. If Sean had just married me back then, none of this would have happened. Their downfall is exactly what they deserved. You took down Hellion Group. How on earth did you manage that?" Monica burst into laughter. "All thanks to your reminder. I got infected first, then passed it to them. That Yvette kept drawing my blood every other day. They never saw me as a threat. How could they possibly suspect I'd deliberately contract that deadly disease? And Sean, when I proposed one last night together before his wedding, he actually agreed. If he can't control his urges, he's got no one to blame but himself. So that means, you're now..." Before I could finish speaking, Monica's nose started bleeding. "It's fine. I took my meds on time. With proper medication, I've got at least 30 more years." The nosebleed worsened rapidly, soaking the front of her shirt. "Monica, that's so much blood. Are you sure you're okay?" "It's nothing. Just a nosebleed." The moment she said that, she collapsed to the ground. I immediately called 120, and Monica was rushed to the ICU upon arrival at the hospital. She'd been having frequent nosebleeds lately. She probably had sepsis all along without realizing it. Now she's developed an autoimmune disorder, triggering the same symptoms as Yvette. The doctors issued a critical condition notice, and I went to see her in the ICU. Monica begged me through tears, "Wendy, save me. I don't want to die." I whispered in her ear, "Actually, I've been reborn too." Her eyes widened in fury. "So you knew everything I've been through. You deliberately infected me. This is all you're doing." I smirked. "Every choice was yours. I never forced you to donate blood for Yvette, nor to catch that disease. Don't pin this on me." Monica's eyes bulged as she struggled to rise, but her heart flatlined within seconds, and so, my last enemy drew her final breath. After the deaths of Yvette's siblings, my hepatitis had completely cleared up. It hadn't improved before because I deliberately reduced my medication to keep the virus in my system. Now I can finally enjoy my healthy, liberated life. Story 2. At the courtship banquet, all the most eligible young mermen of our clan gathered for my sister and me to choose from. I accepted the advances of an obsidian-tailed merman and bore a remarkably strong offspring within just 1 year. Our child was groomed as the future ruler from birth, elevating the status of the obsidian-tailed lineage. Meanwhile, my sister chose a silver-tailed merman for his beauty, yet failed to conceive for years. Consumed by jealousy, my sister stole and murdered my child, then flayed me alive, tore out my tendons, and carved up my core, leaving me to die in agony. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the betrothal banquet, just in time to see my sister claim the obsidian-tailed mermaid before I could. I knew she'd been reborn too, but what she didn't realize was this. Fate would deny her victory yet again. I chose the obsidian-tailed merman Thorn, who hadn't moved until now, lifted his gaze toward his sister Dahlia as astonished looks swept through the crowd. Only I could decipher the predatory gleam in my sister's eyes, that smug look of someone holding a winning hand. I knew she'd been reborn too. Merfolk reproduction has always been challenging, and our population continues to dwindle. The king personally selects mates from our entire race, hoping to produce powerful offspring to strengthen our merfolk lineage. He even decreed that any exceptionally strong offspring would be groomed as the next ruler. In my past life, Thorn was the one who pursued me, and I chose him. Within just a year, we welcomed our child Dante, who displayed remarkable bloodline talents even while still in his egg. The king himself nurtured Dante after hatching, proclaiming him the next ruler of the merfolk. Thorn's status rose accordingly, and even the previously shunned obsidian-tailed merfolk, once deemed inferior for their dull scales, gained admiration. Yet my sister, who chose the silver-scaled mare Emery for his dazzling fins, never succeeded in conceiving a mare egg. As his true nature gradually surfaced and drew public criticism, he took out his frustrations on Emery. Whenever I saw him, Emery's body bore fresh wounds. I shuddered to imagine what horrors lay hidden beneath those sleeves. Watching my rising status while enduring whispers about her childlessness, my sister stole and murdered my young son in a fit of jealous rage. Arriving too late, I found only Dante's lifeless body, heartbroken and distracted during the fight. I was overpowered by my sister. My sister flayed my skin, ripped out my tendons, and tore open my core, cursing me to die in agony. The pain still throbbed faintly throughout my body as visions of my sister's frenzied eyes and Dante's tiny form flashed through my mind. Regret and fury burned hotter within me, my palms marked with crimson crescents from my nails. I yearned to end her life that very instant. My father's puzzled voice snapped me back to reality. "Dahlia, didn't you insist on choosing the mermaid with the most beautiful scales? Why the sudden change, father?" "You misremember, that was my choice for elder sister. As for me, I've always adored the obsidian scales of the mermaids." My younger sister flashed a coquettish smile before turning to me. "Sister, surely you won't object if I claim Thorn. Silver-tailed merfolk are exquisite. They complement your beauty perfectly." The princess had been the king's favorite since childhood, indulged in every whim. Thus she spoke without hesitation, certain her scheme would prevail. Once she marries the obsidian-tailed merman and lays merfolk eggs, her status will rise again, granting her absolute power to do as she pleases within the merfolk kingdom. My gaze shifted between my bewildered father and my sister, whose smiling eyes couldn't conceal the scheming beneath. Thorn stood nearby equally puzzled. He'd barely begun courting her when the second princess unexpectedly chose him of her own accord. Though not his original target, it made no difference. He remained still. Wearing an expression of flustered disbelief, I smiled gently and said, "Since my sister favors the obsidian-tailed mermaid, I've no objections. How could I bear to disappoint you?" Bowing again to the king, I declared, "Father, the silver-tailed mermaid Emery pleases me greatly. She is my choice." The named Emery stood aloof at the periphery, her expression indifferent as if hearing another's name called twice. Yet I remembered, when trapped by my sister in my past life, it was Emery who came to intervene. Years of abuse from his sister had left his body frail beyond measure. A mere flick of the wrist sent him crumpling to the ground like tissue paper, unconscious. Silver-tailed mermaids possess striking beauty, but their aloof and haughty nature made it difficult for them to blend in with their kin. Thus, despite Emery's exceptional looks, he remained an outsider among the merfolk, perpetually lingering on the fringes. Seeing Emery standing there unharmed filled me with relief. He'd escaped unscathed. What's the harm in being with him this lifetime? Things couldn't possibly get worse anyway. Oh dear, sister, are you really choosing a silver-tailed merman? I've heard they're extremely rare. Their reproductive abilities might be the poorest among merfolk. What if you can't even produce mermaid eggs? How dreadful that would be, my sister giggled behind her hand, pressing her whole body against Thorn as if she couldn't wait to proclaim to the world that he was her chosen one. The king showed faint displeasure at these words and was about to speak when I cut in first. Whether I can bear merfolk eggs isn't for you to decide, dear sister. There's plenty of time ahead. You'd do better to mind your own business. With that, I strode straight to Emery and led him away. Dahlia always assumed it was the abundant resources and strong fertility of the obsidian-tailed merfolk that allowed me to conceive so quickly. The truth is, I used my ancestral bloodline magic to alter Thorn's physique, enhancing our compatibility. That's why pregnancy came so swiftly. I never told Thorn the truth back then, so he kept pestering me daily for another child, convinced his virility was unmatched. But this method wasn't foolproof. There'd be no more mermaid eggs anytime soon. In his disappointment, Thorn started dallying with others behind my back. After catching him, I barred him from my chambers permanently. Dahlia thought she'd won the prize by striking first, little knowing how she'd handle his future dalliances. My sister's furious voice rang out behind me. What are you so smug about, Moira? Silver-tailed merfolk can't even lay eggs. The obsidian-tailed are the most fertile. Just you wait. I ignored her, but Emery beside me seemed puzzled. Your Highness, our silver-tailed kin are indeed rare and keep to ourselves. Why would you choose me? I chuckled. Like I said, because you're beautiful. Once chosen by the princess, I shall devote myself wholeheartedly, always prioritizing her highness above all. Emery's voice sounded behind me, and I couldn't help but curve my lips into a faint smile. Who says silver-tailed mermaids are aloof? Their hearts are tender. Once they claim someone as their own, they'll follow them through life and death. The king finally approved my sisters and my decision, ordering us to prepare for our weddings within a month. Emery brought over a box, his expression unreadable, but what was inside took me by surprise. The box contained a set of shimmering silver jewelry, radiating a cool yet gentle glow that dazzled the eyes. These are scales I collected during my molting seasons. Since the princess admires my fish scales, I selected the finest ones to craft this jewelry set. With a soft chuckle, I picked up a necklace to admire. Exquisite. I adore it. Just then, Dahlia and Thorn entered side by side, their expressions briefly contorting at the sight of the gorgeous jewelry in my hands. Just a set of jewelry. Thorn gifted me 3 different jade collections. Yours looks rather modest, dear sister. I shot them a frosty glance, couldn't be bothered with their nonsense, and gathered my things to leave. Dahlia deliberately blocked my path, clinging to Thorn with possessive arms and a taunting smirk. Sister, Thorn and I will surely have children soon after our wedding. You simply must attend the celebration banquet. Oh, unless you're still struggling with infertility by then, how heartbreaking that would be for you. Before I could speak, Emery frowned and said, No need, we'll return the invitation when our child is born. I smirked, took Emery's hand, and said, Let's go. The two behind us kept discussing pregnancy and egg laying, as if reproduction was all they could think about. I couldn't be bothered to care, yet couldn't help thinking of Dante. He was just a toddler, barely able to call for his mother. When Dahlia in her madness took his life, a sudden gloom came over me, which Emery immediately noticed. Your Highness, what troubles you? He asked with concern. It's nothing, just remembering someone from the past. Forcing a smile, I changed the subject. The Lantern Festival is in 2 days. The streets will be lively. Would you accompany me? Emery readily agreed and accompanied me as we explored every nook and cranny of the streets. Riverside vendors sold floating lanterns. I bought one, lit it, and gently set it afloat on the water. As the lantern drifted lazily away, I found myself lost in thought, wondering where Dante might be at that moment. Chapter 2. A lantern's orange glow suddenly illuminated my face. Turning, I saw Emery standing there. Having appeared without a sound, I lowered my gaze to the lantern's design and chuckled. Where did this lantern come from? It's absolutely adorable. Emery looked at me earnestly. Bought it from a nearby shop. May your sorrows be few and your smiles plentiful, Moira. It was the first time he called me by name. Playfully, I teased. Oh, I was actually saying you're the adorable one. Though the mermaid hadn't revealed her shimmering silver tail, the expression on her face was utterly intoxicating. The wedding day arrived in the blink of an eye. Dahlia and I were to be married simultaneously, with the bridal processions already waiting outside. Dahlia more radiant than flowers, deliberately traced the vivid marks on her neck, shook out her crimson wedding robes, and hid a smirk behind her hand. "I heard you've been traveling quite often lately, dear sister." I nodded absently with little attention. "What good is Emery anyway? I can't believe you still indulge him, sister. If you don't keep a tighter rein after marriage, he'll walk all over you. Not like Thorn, he replaces everything I own with jade." I grew impatient, wondering why Emery still hadn't arrived. Oh indeed, how could anyone compare? The Genbai household certainly has no shortage of jade. A flicker of wariness crossed Dahlia's face before she relaxed again, her words dripping with smug condescension. "Sister, you're marrying into the Silvertail clan under uncertain circumstances. The Blacktail Merfolk own multiple jade mines. If you ever face hardship, you must tell me." The Blacktail Merfolk are indeed wealthy, with jade mines being their greatest asset, but I know their prosperity is merely superficial. When I first married into the Blacktail clan, I sensed signs of depletion in their jade mines. What outsiders perceive as boundless wealth is but a facade. This empire has long been teetering on the brink. After all, Genbai just got married and is trying to win Dahlia over, hence the excessive attentiveness. Once she stops laying eggs, all this pampering will vanish like morning mist. I deliberately turned to face her, flashing a knowing smile. "If you fancy those jade pieces, go ahead, enjoy them while you can. They won't last forever." Just then, Emery appeared before me. My spirits instantly lifted as I abandoned the angry shouts behind me and walked toward him. On our wedding night, free from any annoying disturbances, there was only this impossibly beautiful man sitting quietly before me. My heart soared to its peak of happiness, with a playful grin. I ran my fingers through his silken hair and teased, "Pretty thing, let me pet your tail, won't you?" Emery obediently unfurled his tail for me. The silver scales shimmered faintly under the glow of the moon pearls, growing ever more enigmatic. I stepped forward and embraced him, nearly intoxicated by his radiance, murmuring, "You're breathtaking." Strands of hair intertwined, palms pressed against palms. The silver-tailed mermaid gently flicked her fins, stretching freely before silently drawing closer to the other with indigo scales. Just as I pinned him onto the bed, the passive one suddenly took charge, showering me with feather-like kisses. At first I welcomed it eagerly, but soon found myself overwhelmed. Silver truly is the most mesmerizing color for fish, but it's just bait. The deeper you go, the more you're hooked, until suddenly you're caught in the net below. Hey, this wasn't the script I originally signed up for. Months passed as Emery and I settled into a quiet, uneventful life. Nothing thrilling, but full of warmth. One morning after breakfast, I lounged lazily in Emery's arms flipping through a book. Someone rushed in. "Your Highness, the second princess is here. She seems rather upset." I wasn't particularly surprised. Dahlia's situation had been quite precarious lately. When Dahlia first married into the Genbai family, she boldly declared she'd soon bear a prodigiously gifted heir. Months have passed without any movement from their side, yet the crowd of onlookers keeps growing, with all the gossip swirling around and Dahlia's inability to conceive. Life in the Kuru family must be tough for her, but why come to me? Wondering this, I had her let in to see what she wanted. Dahlia barged in without regard for others present and confronted me directly. "Moira, what did you mean by your words that day? Was this your doing?" I was confused at first, but gradually understood the reason from Dahlia's accusations and interrogations. It turned out to be about what I'd said during our wedding. When I hinted that the jade mines in Xianwei wouldn't last, Dahlia took it as me cursing her with infertility. The thought nearly made me burst out laughing. Egg-bearing has become her obsession. Every little thing makes her jump to that conclusion. I know Dahlia won't listen to reason, and helping others is the last thing on her mind. In fact, she'd rather fan the flames and let mistakes compound. "You're mistaken, dear sister. How could someone like me possibly manage that? Isn't the Genbai family richer than nations and peerless in power? Even if I wanted to do something to you, I'm utterly powerless." Dahlia's declining status within the Genbai clan was a sore spot, and this remark visibly struck a nerve. Her face momentarily contorted in anger. The contrast must be staggering for Dahlia. Had the powerful Genbai family not constantly favored her, the more I insisted, the more suspicious Dahlia grew, yet she couldn't find any proof. She glared at me viciously. "Don't get cocky. I'll get pregnant eventually. You're the one stuck with that useless merman Emery, doomed to never bear children." At those words, my expression turned icy as I showed her the door. Let's not trouble our sister with our affairs. She should focus on her own problems instead. Unexpectedly, news soon broke that Dahlia was pregnant. I was surprised. Dahlia and I share the same father, and our constitutions are quite similar. I knew full well that a union between her and Thorn should have made conception nearly impossible, let alone achieving pregnancy within just 6 months. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen Dahlia's swollen belly with my own eyes. The Genba clan threw lavish celebrations, and Thorn was absolutely beaming with pride. To them, this pregnancy meant securing a powerful heir with immense potential. The banquet overflowed with guests, some even crashed the party just to get a word in and curry favor. Dahlia stood before me with a hand resting on her belly, casting a challenging look my way. Sister, after all this time, you still show no signs. Oh dear. Could it be you're the barren one? Merfolk pregnancies are rare to begin with? And with Dahlia and Thorn's incompatible constitutions, something's definitely fishy here. I adjusted my sleeves, refusing to look at Dahlia's revolting face. Chapter 3. No mermaid has ever gotten pregnant this quickly. You know exactly how you did it. Dahlia instinctively looked down at her belly, then she snapped her gaze back to me, guilt still flickering in her eyes. What are you implying? Are you accusing me? Jumping to conclusions without even hearing the full story. What rare stupidity. But merfolk have shorter late-term pregnancies. She'll give birth in about 2 months. We'll see the truth then. No particular meaning. Just wishing you a smooth delivery. I smirked, casting a pointed glance at her belly before sauntering off. 2 months had passed since Dahlia's due date, yet everything remained eerily quiet as if nothing was amiss. Even the king was denied visitation, and the entire Genbai clan's atmosphere had undergone a night and day transformation. That's when I knew something was wrong with the child. A few days later, I received word from the king summoning me to the Genbai clan's territory. Of course I'll bring Emery along. Among the Obsidian Tail clan, Dahlia was cradling her pup while shouting excitedly. This was a mermaid with an azure tail. This is mine and Thorn's child. The color mutation comes from intertribal merfolk breeding. The moment I stepped in and heard that remark, I leaned against the doorway to enjoy the show. Mutations are just atavism. This color only appears if it existed in our ancestry. Thorn glared coldly at Dahlia. There were no blue-tailed merfolk in Thorn's lineage. Unaware of this fact and completely missing the implication, Dahlia kept arguing about possible blue-tailed ancestors in both bloodlines. Thorn's face grew increasingly dark, radiating an unprecedented aura of fury. There must be some misunderstanding here. Thorn, you know how deeply Dahlia loves you. She'd never betray you. The king acted as peacemaker, urgently trying to calm Thorn down. Hearing her father's defense, Dahlia cautiously cradled their child and offered the baby to Thorn. Look, this is our child. Those eyes and nose are just like yours. Thorn coldly took the baby, and before Dahlia could show any joy, he stepped back and raised it high. Tell me who you had this with, or I'll drop it right now. Speak. Dahlia screamed. Thorn, how dare you? This is our child. Our own child. The infant in Thorn's arms began wailing, its thin cries piercing my eardrums as I winced. Merling hatchlings grow rapidly after emerging from their eggs. Soon enough, this one would start speaking. My Dante was just this size when Dahlia took his life. Hearing the cries, Thorn sneered and abruptly released his grip, hurling the Merling child toward the ground. Startled, I immediately reached out to catch it, while Emery beside me also stepped forward simultaneously. Barely managing to catch the child, Dahlia snatched them away, her face pale and her whole body trembling. The onlookers were also terrified by the scene and began offering words of comfort. Finally, someone suggested, I've heard of a spiritual stone called the kinship tester that can determine blood relations. It's been kept in the royal collection for generations. Why not use it to settle this? Dahlia immediately protested. This is mine and Thorn's child. How dare you use some worthless rock instead? The king wiped his sweat nervously, stammering, well, we do have one, but, I scoffed inwardly. His hesitation proved even the king doubted Dahlia's claim, yet Thorn turned to the king at once, demanding he produce the spirit stone. Everyone agreed to the method, and immediately summoned the kinship testing stone. The little mermaid's blood dripped onto the stone, emitting a faint glow. When Thorn added a drop of his blood, the spirit stone remained completely inert. No, this stone must be defective. Dahlia desperately scrambled for excuses. Thorn grabbed Dahlia's hand and smeared her blood on the stone. The kinship stone glowed with an eerie blue light, confirming she was the little mermaid's mother. Well, that's unexpected. Thorn almost raised another man's child. Murmurs of gossip rose from below as I pulled Emery aside to watch the spectacle, barely suppressing my laughter. No wonder Dahlia couldn't conceive before, then suddenly got pregnant. She must have taken a lover to get pregnant. Just one compatible partner would significantly boost her chances, but Dahlia forgot their differing tail colors would reveal the truth, unless she desperately settled for a blue-tailed merman in her panic. Thorn's face darkened completely as he snatched the paternity stone and ordered his men to find that blue-tailed merman. Before long, a blue-tailed merman was brought in. Turned out he'd been lurking suspiciously outside when the guards spotted him. To everyone's surprise, the test confirmed he was the little mermaid's biological father. I couldn't help but marvel at the merman's striking beauty. No wonder Dahlia had been drawn to him with those exquisite features. The blue-tailed mermaid confessed without denial, with both witnesses and material evidence present. Thorn's fury was written all over his face. Dahlia, is this what you call giving me a child? Seeing no way to deny it, Dahlia began making excuses for herself. If you hadn't kept nagging about wanting a child, would I have resorted to this? If you weren't so inferior to him, it would have been your child I'm carrying. Dahlia's attitude nearly made Thorn lose his composure on the spot. He stormed off after throwing out a final threat. You leave me no choice but to retaliate. After the spectacle, Emery and I headed home. He kept glancing at me hesitantly during the walk. Moira, do you want children too? I won't force it. He'll come back when the time is right, I thought to myself, realizing what this was about, as I took Emery's hand. Emery, you're the one who matters most to me. Emery wasn't prepared for such a direct confession, silently squeezing my hand in return before murmuring, me too, but thinking of Dante, I sighed inwardly. This lifetime might pass without us ever meeting again. Whether Dahlia can conceive remains uncertain, while rumors of Thorn's wild escapades keep surfacing. It wasn't long before Dahlia came knocking at my door again, tearfully begging for my help. Sister, please help me. Thorn never comes home at night. Who knows how many pretty mermaids he's been with. If I don't get pregnant soon, he'll bring another woman into our home. None of this surprised me. Even in my past life when I bore Dante, Thorn kept taking lovers when denied a second child. With Dahlia betraying him first and leaving no heir, Thorn saw no reason to maintain his facade any longer. I remember how she stole my child when no one was looking, murdered him in cold blood, then turned on me with torture that ended my life. Moira, how dare you live better than me? I'll make sure you die without a grave to rest in. Your soul shall never find peace. I'll never forget the madness in her eyes or the venom in her curse. She chose the same path I took initially when given another chance, so why is she suffering now? Sis, you must have a solution, right? Please help me. With that, Dahlia rushed forward and desperately clutched my hand, sobbing uncontrollably. I lowered my gaze to the wrist she was gripping, then slowly but firmly pulled away. There's nothing I can do. Merfolk pregnancies are inherently difficult, and you've damaged your constitution by not resting properly. Combined with your biological incompatibility with Thorn, having a child will just take time. Dahlia refused to believe me, convinced I was lying to her. Moira, you're holding out on me. You've got solutions but won't share them. Can't stand seeing me happier than you. Just wait, I'll find my own way without you. I won't let you in. With a venomous glare, she turned on her heel and stormed out. I shrugged helplessly, while I genuinely didn't want to help. The truth was I simply couldn't, and that's the honest truth. In my past life, I conceived by tapping into the ancestral matrilineal power within me, which altered Thorn's physiology. This method essentially burns through one's lifespan, each use shortens it, and the technique can't be employed repeatedly in quick succession. Though I succeeded in bearing a child this way, it left me with barely any life remaining. This time, I won't make the same mistake again. Just as I was ready to let nature take its course and even accept that pregnancy might not happen, a wonderful surprise came our way. Months later, Emery looked at my belly and asked, Moira, has your stomach been growing bigger lately? I froze for a moment, then instinctively touched my abdomen. Life's been too comfortable lately. I just thought I'd gained weight, never considered other possibilities. Chapter 4, you mean? I asked hesitantly. Emery gently placed his hand on my belly with cautious hope. Could we be expecting a little one? Before I could respond, he scooped me onto the bed, told me to stay put, and rushed off to fetch the doctor. Watching Emery's flustered retreat, I couldn't help but chuckle. Within minutes, the physician was hastily ushered in. The doctor calmly took my pulse as I leaned against the cushions, though it was Emery waiting nearby who seemed most anxious. Fortunately, the physician soon rose with clasped hands, offering cheerful congratulations. Congratulations to you both. Her Highness is with child, about a month away from delivery. I stood there stunned. Just over a month until birth meant she'd been pregnant for nearly 3 months already, yet throughout this time, I'd felt completely normal, eating and drinking without any noticeable changes. This little one's been such an easy blessing, I murmured with wonder. Emery sat beside me holding my hand, but looked increasingly troubled. Are you really okay? Don't you feel unwell? His demeanor suggested he wanted me to stay in bed indefinitely. I found it both amusing and exasperating, telling Emery not to fuss over me and just act normally, but Emery had other ideas, and started chasing me around daily to force-feed me snacks. A steady stream of tonics flowed in, transformed into exquisite delicacies through ingenious preparations. Within half a month, I could already feel myself putting on weight. After dinner, I lounged in the courtyard as Emery sat beside me, peeling a pearl fruit to hand over. These rare fruits were practically priceless treasures, yet Emery served them to me as casual dessert. I was initially surprised by the Silvertail clan's substantial wealth, to which Emery merely responded with a faint smile. Though the Silvertail merfolk are few in number, they've amassed considerable fortune. It's understandable you wouldn't know, they rarely interact with other clans. After this enlightening explanation, I took Emery's hand feeding in stride without batting an eye. Just days before my due date, we attended a royal cousin's wedding where I unexpectedly reunited with Dahlia after so long. Dahlia recently became pregnant again, though the method remains unclear. Under Thorn's watchful eye, the child is undoubtedly theirs. Never one to play the victim. Dahlia's pregnancy coincided with the abrupt end of Thorn's notorious philandering rumors. The couple now appears reconciled, though what tensions simmer beneath the surface remains anyone's guess. Sister, why sit here alone when there's such merrymaking afoot? I was nibbling on the pastry Emery slid my way, just wanting to quietly coast through the wedding, but of course certain people had to butt in. With a sigh, I raised my hand slightly. Excuse me, you're blocking my light. Dahlia didn't take offense, simply repositioning herself to keep facing me. The baby bump's becoming more noticeable. What wedding gift has my dear sister prepared? Let's not embarrass ourselves when presenting the gifts later. I smiled faintly. I was about to ask you the same, little sister. With the Genbai mermaid clan's prestigious status, your gift must be quite extravagant. No, by my calculations, the Genbai clan's financial situation can't be too favorable these days. Though outsiders remain unaware. Their own people must have noticed. You can't hide the belt-tightening in daily necessities. Dahlia's expression faltered momentarily before she quickly regained her composure, looking down her nose at me with haughty disdain. Naturally, the congratulatory gift we presented was of exceptional quality. It seems Genbai's fortunes have truly declined, yet they still produced an extravagantly valuable gift to save face. Dahlia brought up the pregnancy matter again. Sis, look, even without your help, I still got pregnant. Once my baby's born, you'll never outdo me. I was speechless. Since when was this a competition, though? As I eyed Dahlia's noticeably larger than normal baby bump, could she be carrying multiples? Now that'd be something special. Why don't you keep a closer eye on Thorn? I just saw him chatting with another pretty mermaid. Stunned by the remark, Dahlia didn't even bother verifying its truth before rushing off to find Thorn. Did we actually see Thorn earlier? Emery asked. Confused since we'd been together the whole time without spotting him, I chuckled. Of course not. Dahlia was being annoying, so I made it up. Midway through the wedding ceremony, a sudden sharp pain in my belly made me clutch Emery's hand and curl forward. I recognized these labor pains immediately, collapsing weakly into Emery's arms. Emery, who'd been watching me closely, swept me up the moment he noticed something was wrong. As contractions racked my body, I grew disoriented and lay motionless in Emery's embrace. In a dazed state, I felt myself being gently laid on the bed as the surrounding clamor faded, replaced by new murmurs drifting in. Time blurred before a sudden lightness washed over me. Exhaustion pulled me under, and I surrendered to sleep. When I awoke, Emery sat beside me. On a nearby cot rested a single egg. Emery noticed my stirring instantly, leaning down to brush a kiss against my skin, eyes brimming with tenderness and concern. You've been through a lot, Moira. Actually, it wasn't too bad this time. The baby behaved well these past months, and the delivery went smoothly. In my previous life, the special conception method made childbirth far more painful. Afterwards, Thorn even demanded I personally tend to the mare egg, denying me proper rest. But Emery showed me nothing but kindness, taking care of the mare egg himself. Before long, I fully recovered and was eagerly awaiting the little mermaid's hatching when unexpected news arrived. Dahlia had also given birth. By the timeline, Dahlia shouldn't have delivered this soon. What's more, there wasn't a single update about the newborn's condition. Everything fell off, just as expected. Father sent another summons from the Obsidian Tail territory, demanding my presence, remembering last time's incident. My curiosity was instantly piqued. I could hardly wait to see what fresh drama awaited. The moment I stepped inside, I witnessed Thorn and Dahlia locked in a physical struggle. I was stunned. Weren't these two supposed to have reconciled? The last time they fought this fiercely was during the birth of the teal-tailed merfolk. At this thought, I realized Dahlia's newborn wasn't present, so I turned to my conflicted-looking father and asked. The king sighed and gestured toward the inner chamber. They're inside. Go see for yourself. He seemed to hesitate, words caught in his throat, but ultimately remained silent. Stepping into the chamber, the sight of 2 eggs on the bed made everything clear. Dahlia was indeed carrying 2 hatchlings, but the 2 eggs she laid were conjoined. This means either one egg is dead, which would inevitably affect the other, or the 2 hatchlings have partially fused bodies. In either case, the hatched offspring will have some degree of deformity. Stepping out of the inner chamber, Thorn and Dahlia were still arguing. Thorn refused to acknowledge the deformed child, while Dahlia kept screaming, "Didn't you want a child? Here's your baby. Why are you rejecting it now? You brought that witch doctor to dose me, then doubled the potion to conceive twins. This is what your meddling created. It's all your fault," Thorn snarled. "This is what happens when you force premature labor, you lunatic." The child wasn't ready. After listening for a while, The pieces finally fell into place. Thorn consulted a witch doctor for fertility potions and overdosed to conceive twins. Then Dahlia, for some insane reason, insisted on inducing early labor right after my delivery. This resulted in deformed eggs being hatched. Now they're blaming each other. One claims premature birth caused it. The other swears the witch doctor's potion was faulty. If you had money, would you even be seeing that quack? Useless trash. Well, running out of cash too, huh? The Genba clan is destined to decline. After that day, both Thorn and Dahlia became much more subdued. With the dwindling jade resources they depend on, the entire Obsidian Tail clan stands on the brink of collapse. But I've stopped paying attention to all that our little mermaid is about to hatch, and both Emery and I are preparing for this momentous event. Chapter 5. To my surprise, Dahlia came knocking 3 times. Sister, please help me. The Obsidian Tail merfolk are in dire straits, and I'm treated as an outcast. You're the only one who can save me now. I'm baffled. Do I look like some kind of benevolent mermaid to you? Even asking the Sea King would be more helpful than coming to me. I can't help you. The Obsidian Tail clan hasn't fallen so low that we can't sustain you. If you want something, earn it yourself. Dahlia pleaded with me endlessly, but when I still refused, she started hurling insults. Moira, how can you be so heartless? Can't you see how miserable I am right now? Then she turned her fury toward Emery beside me. And you were supposed to be mine. Why couldn't I conceive with Emery or Thorn? How dare you hog all the blessings? What madness is this? Wicked schemes never bear good fruit. Frowning at Dahlia's deranged expression, I was inexplicably reminded of the day she murdered Dante, an ominous foreboding creeping into my heart. All I wanted was a child. Is that so wrong? If I can't have one, neither will you. My heart lurched. Ignoring Dahlia's obstinate nonsense, I spun around to check on the child. The nursery was empty, the merling egg gone from its cradle. Thorn lay motionless nearby, his condition unknown. My mind went blank with a roar. Seeing red, I nearly charged out to murder Dahlia then and there. A faint whimper snapped me back to reality. Emery emerged from under the bed cradling a squirming infant, our child, turns out. While Dahlia was talking to us up front, Thorn sneaked in trying to steal the mermaid egg. Right at that moment, the baby mermaid hatched and bit Thorn's vulnerable spot when he least expected it. Managing to escape, I clutched the child tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. Emery held me close and said, "I'm sorry. If I'd stayed in the room to look after the child, none of this would have happened." I shook my head, knowing Emery only followed because he feared Dahlia might harm me, but when Dahlia revealed the reincarnation secret, I told Emery everything about our past lives to avoid misunderstandings. Learning what Dahlia did to me in our previous life, Emery's disgust deepened. I wish I could have stopped her back then. I smiled faintly. You did help me. It's just, Dante. Dante is the only pain in my heart. My deepest regret is failing to save him back then. Letting him suffer so much at such a tender age. Emery looked at me and comforted. Don't grieve. Perhaps your bond with Dante isn't severed yet. Someday, he'll come back to you, having regained what was lost. I immediately told my father the king without hesitation. Even the king couldn't side with Dahlia this time. She was punished according to the law, doomed to spend the rest of her days in perpetual darkness. Thorn's body was carelessly discarded, left unattended. Emery and I had a beautiful silver-tailed merman child, whom we named Rafe. Rafe was exceptionally gifted, growing rapidly as the king groomed him to be the successor. As for Emery and me, we traveled the world or settled in various places until I became pregnant again years later. As the teal-colored little mermaid emerged from her shell, that familiar face made me blurt out, "Dante." Emery smiled and said, "See, those bound by fate will always find their way back." End. Story 2. What is the ultimate form of winning without effort? When the zombies arrive, I am in my self-built house made of copper and iron, munching on corn and petting my dog. In the yard below, the zombie king tirelessly plows my field, lured by the dangling sausage above his head. Oh, and not too far away, my ex-boyfriend, turned zombie, wanders aimlessly through my orchard. Maybe he should plow the field too. At this suggestion, the zombie king bares his teeth fiercely, scaring my stiff ex-boyfriend into sprinting away for miles. "Nicola, let's break up." The grisly, gaping mouth before me suddenly vanishes, replaced by Alexis's constipated expression. My mind echoes emptily. I have not yet recovered from the fear of being bitten by a zombie, my body shivering. You know my family is the richest in the city. The gap between us is just too big. Hearing Alexis's confident speech, I suddenly burst into laughter. I survived. Not only survived but also returned to 6 months before the zombie outbreak. In the face of life and death, being dumped by a jerk no longer seemed important, so, under Alexis's astonished gaze, I opened my palm. Compensation for wasting my youth. 2 million. 6 months later, the zombie virus outbreak would turn densely populated cities into the first to fall. Not only interactions between humans and zombies but also between humans themselves would become a massive safety risk. This time, With 6 months at my disposal, I would not end up cold and hungry, eventually dying in fear at the hands of zombies as I had in my past life. The most absurd thing was, at the moment of my death, a broadcast announced our victory. I smile ruefully, without the energy to dwell on the past. With half a year left, I needed to prepare for the sudden onset of disaster, with Alexis's 2 million. I redeemed the orchard that had been mortgaged after my father's death. Rows upon rows of fruit trees ensured I wouldn't starve. The day I signed the contract, I hired a construction crew to demolish the small wooden hut used for beekeeping and began building a 5-story villa made of concrete, 2 stories below ground, 2 above. Young lady, do you need such a big house just for yourself? 2 floors above ground should be enough. Uncle, it's too hot above ground, the fruits spoil easily. I need to store the picked fruits underground first before selling them. Wouldn't a cellar be enough for that? No, far from enough. Insisting repeatedly, I had the foreman bring in an excavator from afar, digging out a 5 to 6 meter deep foundation to build 2 underground levels and even a well. I insisted on using the best materials for construction and waterproofing. The walls were twice as thick as those of ordinary houses, and I opted for double-layered tempered glass windows. The surrounding walls stood 5 meters tall. Perhaps my demands were too high. As the house took 5 months to complete, leaving just 29 days until the outbreak of the zombies, looking at the finished house, the workers murmured among themselves, "Look at this house, such small windows, walls so thick, it's like a bunker, doesn't seem like a place for a young lady." I felt a sinking feeling in my heart but swallowed the words on my lips. I didn't want to compromise my safety out of momentary soft-heartedness. 2 days later, on October 7th, there would be a massive car accident on the Yunqing Expressway. The suburban construction team of 57 people, none would survive. This was the reason I specifically paid extra to hire this construction crew. The construction team consisted of a little over 50 people. Despite having a confidentiality agreement with them, the outbreak of zombies was inevitable. And it was certain that others would target this place. I felt as if my heart was pounding, filled with anxiety and guilt. The construction team left early in the morning, and the leader handed me a puppy, just born a month ago, placing it in my hands. "Little lady, you seem to lack a sense of security. Raising a dog can help you guard the house." In truth, I was hesitant, fearing that the dog's barking might attract zombies. However, when the puppy softly whimpered and licked my fingers, my heart melted instantly. Humanity would have to battle zombies for a whole 10 years. Being alone was just too lonely. I named the puppy Lucky, a name easy to live up to. "Uncle, I just checked the calendar, and the next couple of days are not suitable for long trips. If you want to go out of town, it's better to leave a few days later." That was all I could say to him. The rest was just wishing them luck. No sooner had the construction team left than I drove off in my newly bought pickup truck to gather supplies, with only 29 days to prepare. There was a lot to buy. First, I swept through a seed store, purchasing 100 kilograms each of corn and wheat seeds, a few kilograms of various vegetables, and several commonly used pesticides and farming tools, filling the truck to the brim. The next day, I bought dozens of books on farming and breeding from a bookstore, and then stocked my backyard fish pond with several hundred fish fry. Having only ever kept pet fish before, I hoped the experience would come in handy later. To avoid suspicion, I procured rice and vacuum-sealed rice under the guise of restocking at various wholesale markets in the city. Since rice has a shelf life of only 3 years, and vacuum-sealed rice lasts at most 18 months, I only stored 800 kilograms of vacuum-sealed rice but secured a ton each of rice and wheat, along with 200 barrels of cooking oil. I also bought 100 packs of noodles, 50 boxes of instant noodles, and 50 kilograms of tofu skin and dried tofu. By the time I had finished these purchases, the 2 million provided by Alexis was nearly depleted. All the water facilities in the house were connected to a well in the yard, so I didn't have to worry about water shortages for the time being. But living without electricity was not an option. Biting the bullet, I took advantage of various online deals to buy solar panels, covering my entire rooftop. I also purchased a biogas digester commonly used in rural areas to generate gas for electricity and handle waste disposal. Besides securing a water supply, I also bought a water purifier. If there was excess electricity from the solar panels, I could purify well water for drinking if needed. After setting up the basic infrastructure, the rest was buying a large quantity of daily necessities, under the guise of donating to mountainous areas. I wholesale purchased 100 boxes of sanitary pads, 50 boxes of compressed biscuits, and 50 boxes of potato chips, along with a small quantity of nuts. Due to the small capacity of the pickup, I had to make at least 4 trips a day, and for fear of revealing my secret, I moved even the heaviest items by myself. Fortunately, the construction team later installed a pulley system, saving me the trouble of carrying hundreds of kilograms up and down the stairs alone, just before the apocalypse. The knives I ordered online finally arrived. I breathed a sigh of relief and locked the front door tightly. After a month of preparations, I had finally gathered all the necessary supplies. By then, Lucky, who had been weaned just a month earlier, was already able to follow me everywhere. Luckily, like me, he was calm and steady, not a barking dog. I was ready to wait out the end of the world in seclusion. But on the third day of the zombie outbreak, someone knocked on my gate. It was a man and a woman, desperately banging on the gate. "Open the door, quick, save us, there are zombies outside. Please, I beg you, pity us, please let us in," they pleaded. You never know how quickly humanity can sink. Soon after the apocalypse began, some learned to trample over the flesh of their comrades to survive. In the orchard, the scattered wandering zombies, drawn by the noise, were quietly approaching. The woman screamed and barely managed to hold her iron axe in front of her. "Open the door, are you heartless people going to watch your own kind get devoured by zombies?" Despite their disheveled appearance, they were not messy, they were frightened but not panicked, and their axe was thick with blood. More importantly, there was another person with them, a wounded man. I stood upstairs with binoculars, indifferently waiting for them to leave on their own, but instead of leaving, after shouting a few times, they started hacking at my front door with their axe. "There must be someone inside. You won't open the door? Fine, I'll chop it down and get in to eat you, bite you, tear you apart." These lunatics, even though my door was made of iron, it couldn't necessarily withstand such continued assault. I turned around, picked up a watermelon knife. "What do we do?" Bing. "The zombies are coming," one shouted. "Why not use the guy in the car as a shield?" the other suggested. "But he's my brother." Intimidated by the man's glare, the woman immediately stopped talking and obediently dragged a bloody man from the car, placing him in front of them. The man on the ground, barely breathing, managed to move back a few steps but still lay powerlessly on the ground. "I'll come back for you," Bing swore, hacking the door once more. Seeing the door remain intact, he dragged the woman back to the car and sped off. The apocalypse had just begun, and most zombies were still slow. After a moment's thought, I ran downstairs, opened the door, and dragged the injured man inside, wiping the blood from his face. Wow. It was him, the Zombie King, the one from the legends who still retained some humanity, unknown to most. At the end of the apocalypse, some zombies slowly regained their senses and turned back into humans. The Zombie King was the first, and I knew this because I was one of the humans who had once escaped from under his command. Kill me, why? In this apocalyptic world, everyone schemed desperately to survive. Why did he want me to kill him? "I've been bitten." "Will, turn." I retrieved his wallet, pulling out his ID card, only then realizing that besides his handsome face, he had a poetically rich name, Aldrich, sitting beside him for a long time. I eventually threw him into a hunting pit at the door before he could turn. If a zombie king existed, no other zombies would appear within several kilometers, and I wouldn't have to farm secretively. That night, my dog Rich kept pacing by my bed, murmuring incessantly. I went downstairs with him, only to see Aldrich in the pit, his skin turning a dull gray, scratching at the sides, as if trying to climb out, perhaps smelling my scent. The pit was lined with thick iron pipes, so I wasn't worried about him getting out, but it made me wonder about another issue. Would zombies die if they went a long time without food? They probably would. On the 5th day of being a zombie, Aldrich no longer showed any interest in me. Lying on the ground like a dead body, curiously, I threw a stone down. He didn't even dodge, but when I threw a chicken leg, he suddenly leaped up and caught it. He was so fast, no wonder he was destined to become a zombie king. After feeding Aldrich a chicken leg, he seemed to have taken a liking to me. Whenever I approached the pit, he would stand up and hiss. However, I didn't get my money by chance, and I couldn't afford to keep feeding him chicken legs endlessly. Then it struck me. The chicken eggs at home, the ones I bought from the village to hatch, guaranteed by the locals to be viable, I had originally planned to use them to make steamed egg custard. I had never considered raising poultry because the sound of chickens could attract zombies, but if I had a zombie king under my control, I wouldn't have anything to fear. After rewarding Aldrich with a sausage, I started researching how to incubate eggs. Fortunately, the poultry farming book I bought mentioned how to do this. Since the weather had been good and there was surplus electricity from the solar panels, I decided to make an incubator with a heater. However, due to poor temperature control, the eggs went bad on the 4th day. Aldrich, not fed meat for a few days, quickly became sluggish again. Feeding him meat all the time was painful for me, but I feared he wouldn't turn into a zombie king if I didn't feed him. So I reluctantly threw another chicken leg into the pit. A few days later, Aldrich was lying lifeless in the hunting pit again. Fortunately, I had bought too many male rabbits, which were constantly fighting, so I threw one down to feed Aldrich. In less than a second, the rabbit was in Aldrich's stomach. It seemed that having tasted fresh meat for the first time, Aldrich was especially excited and kept howling out of the pit. I couldn't keep feeding him for nothing. The oranges in the garden were ripening. Because I was afraid of zombies, I only picked a few from the trees near the door. If I could tame Aldrich, it would be great to have him accompany me to pick more oranges. With this in mind, I started going out to cut grass for the rabbits when there were no zombies around. Then divided a rabbit into 4 parts and stored them in the cellar to feed Aldrich regularly. After a week of this routine, Aldrich only showed excitement during feeding times. Even when half of a dead rabbit fell into the pit, he remained unresponsive. It was time to test the results of my feeding. Wearing thick gloves, I slowly reached into the pit. Aldrich raised his head to sniff, slowly opened his mouth, and my heart raced. Just as I was about to retract my hand, he closed his mouth. Looking confused, I handed down rabbit meat, and he quickly bit and swallowed it without hesitation. Indeed, he responded only to food. The next day after feeding him, I decided to let him out. Although Aldrich had shown almost no aggression towards me, I didn't dare to be careless. I prepared 2 thick dog chains in advance, securing one end around his neck and the other to a stone pillar in the yard before daring to open the iron cover of the hunting pit. As soon as I opened a gap just wide enough for one person, Aldrich shot up at an incredible speed, heading straight for me. I held my breath in fright, thankful that the chain jerked him back, preventing him from reaching me. Just as I relaxed and reached for a chicken leg to tempt him again, Aldrich, looking puzzled, tugged at the iron chain around his neck. With a gentle pull, the chain snapped in 2. In that instant, my blood ran cold. My face tightened, and sweat poured down uncontrollably. I had prepared for everything, but I didn't expect to die because of my own cleverness. Aldrich approached me step by step, his heavy steps slightly unsteady as if he was still not accustomed to his body. Gripping the melon knife in my sweaty palm, I felt so weak I could barely lift the blade. To cut or not to cut, if he becomes a zombie king, he might regain his senses, turning into a living being with supernatural powers. It seems a bit of a pity to kill him now, doesn't it? In my hesitation, Aldrich approached closer and closer. I closed my eyes, shouted loudly, and swung my knife down. The blade trembled heavily, causing pain in my palm, and then it emitted a crisp cracking sound, breaking into several pieces. I was stunned. Early zombies were still made of flesh and blood. Just severing their necks would immobilize them. But Aldrich, he seemed to have skin and bones as tough as metal. Aldrich, still looking confused, walked straight forward and started eating a chicken leg that had fallen on the ground. For some reason, I suddenly remembered hiding in the ruins of a supermarket, picking up breadcrumbs. Back then, Aldrich stood not far away. While I just wanted to have one last full meal before dying, he threw me a pack of instant noodles. My first full meal after the apocalypse was given by a zombie, fear and regret intertwined. I crouched down and cried bitterly. I, who had once been shown the greatest kindness, had judged a zombie with the most malicious mindset, just because he was a zombie, even though he had once saved me. Aldrich watched me cry, seemingly losing interest in the chicken leg in his mouth. After a long while, he slowly squatted down in front of me, and the chicken leg fell right in front of me, for me to eat. I tentatively reached up to take it, and he showed no reaction. After a moment's hesitation, I finally unlocked the iron chain around his neck. There was no choice. The zombie king was too strong, and I was afraid he might deform the pillar if he continued to be chained. At night, I locked the door tightly and withdrew the collapsible ladder from the first to the second floor. I didn't dare to close my eyes all night, and my pet dog trembled with fear all night long. Holding my dog, I barely made it until sunrise. Looking out from the balcony, Aldrich was obediently sitting at the door, looking like he was waiting for me to feed him. Hesitating for a moment, I still brought him 2 sausages. Aldrich leaped and bit into the sausages. As a zombie king, it turned out that sausages were his favorite food, easy to please. After breakfast, I decided to make some tofu and cleaned the stone mill in the yard, ready to have Aldrich turn it. Turns out the zombie king was too lazy to work. With no choice, I made a cap with a bar for him, hanging a sausage in front, and he briskly started turning the mill. Aldrich ran so fast that it took less than half an hour to grind a bucket. After setting the tofu, I planned to find other uses for Aldrich, like helping me pick tangerines. The tangerine season was almost over. It would be a pity not to pick them now. I strapped a basket on Aldrich's back and tied a trailer behind him, then took a watermelon knife and went to the orchard to pick tangerines. Maybe it was because of Aldrich's presence, but I hardly ever saw any zombies near my home. After picking a cart full of tangerines and feeling fortunate, I suddenly heard the sound of a car engine not far away. I pulled Aldrich and hid, but then I heard chaotic shouting coming from down the mountain. Oh no, has someone stolen the crystals from my old den? My house might be able to keep out zombies, but it might not stand against the depravity of humans. In a panic, I grabbed Aldrich and rushed back. They were fighting for their lives. The person who clung out first had made it to the roadside. Unfortunately, the person behind him clung desperately to his ankle. In a fit of panic and despair, he picked up a stone from the riverbank and, while crying out, smashed it down on the head of the person behind him repeatedly until it was a bloody mess before he could stop being, "Don't blame me, Alexis," beside me, sensing the blood. Aldrich started to grow restless. I quickly pulled a sausage from my bag and stuffed it into Aldrich's mouth without even peeling it. He adored the sausage more than his own mother, gradually calming down as he gnawed on it. Racing down to the river valley with the increasingly strange Lord of the Dead, I saw Alexis lying on the ground, his skin turning a ghastly pale gray. "Alexis," hearing my voice, Alexis slowly lifted his head and struggled to crawl towards me. "Save me, Nicola, save me." He had been bitten. It was too late for him. When the apocalypse ends, some zombies regain their senses and turn back into humans. I wondered if Alexis would be one of those lucky few, but just as this thought crossed my mind, Alexis began to twist unnaturally and slowly got to his feet, lunging at me. The newly turned zombie Alexis didn't realize who was standing next to me. In an instant, Aldrich swatted him aside with a slap. He growled, fiercely pressing Alexis's head into the mud, a sound like a territorial lion being invaded escaping his lips. Indeed, he was conscious enough to save me. It seems the days of feeding him sausages were not in vain. I tiptoed and patted his head. "My precious good boy, how interesting." Suddenly, beside the now dead being, a male voice mixed with a harsh electrical noise spoke up. "Who?" I followed the sound and saw a device resembling a recorder on Bing's waist making the noise. "How did you manage it? How did you raise a king of the dead and make him obey you? It's incredible." Besides me, someone else has hoarded so much supplies. He saw my stash. "Is he in my house?" I didn't expect someone to have stored so much food and secured such a strategic location during the apocalypse. The voice from the walkie-talkie, like a lightning strike, pierced my heart. "It's as if you knew the apocalypse was coming and prepared thoroughly for it. Who are you? No need to rush. You'll find out soon enough. We'll meet soon." Slowly, the walkie-talkie fell silent. I stood there, goosebumps forming on my skin. I had always thought I created a safe and joyful haven for myself, never imagining someone had been monitoring my life all along. Who is he, and what does he want? I never heard of this person in my past life. The fear of the unknown felt like a poisonous hand tightly gripping my throat. I must go home first and see. I reattached Aldrich to the orange trailer. And it took me a moment to realize something. When had Aldrich become so fast? Could it be just because he was fed? Do zombies also get low blood sugar? I couldn't figure it out. Passing by Alexis, I hesitated for a second or two, then also tied him up, partly because of the 2 million face value, and partly because I wanted to know if all zombies could be tamed like Aldrich. If not, dangling a sausage to make him work alongside Aldrich wouldn't be a bad idea. Back home, I intended to throw Alexis into the same pit where I had kept Aldrich initially, but this guy snarled and refused to let me, even giving Alexis a big smack on the face and then jumping into the pit himself to claim the spot. This old sixth really had me beaten. Since digging another pit was virtually impossible for me, I securely tied Alexis to a large tree outside the door. Ordinary zombies might have great strength, but they aren't monstrously strong like Aldrich, tied up as he was. I still had more than enough control. After dealing with Alexis, I hurried into the house. Inside, everything seemed peaceful, as if nothing had changed, but Lucky, who always greeted me at the door, was nowhere to be seen. Lucky, my heart sank. After calling several times, I finally saw a little black figure crawl out from under the bed. Lucky had never behaved like this before. Someone must have visited while I was away. However, there were no signs of forced entry at the main door. After carefully inspecting the tall courtyard walls, I finally found muddy footprints on them. Someone had climbed over my 5-meter-high courtyard wall, and not just one person. They must be no ordinary people. My face turned ashen as I pondered over this, and then I saw Lucky barking furiously at the light bulb above the main door. I fetched a ladder, removed the light cover, and found a small listening device inside. I felt a chill run down my spine, holding Lucky. I searched the entire house and found several more surveillance devices, covering every corner of my home. These devices were smaller than a fingernail, utterly pervasive. If not for Lucky, I might have continued living under someone's surveillance indefinitely. Who could they be? I had only been out to pick oranges for 4 hours, yet they managed to enter my house silently, install numerous cameras, and leave without a trace. After a restless night, I decided to enhance my security measures. The next day, as I was about to head out with Aldrich for work, I was taken aback by what I saw at the pit's edge. The pit was littered with ham sausage casings, far more than I had taken out. In my rush to find all the surveillance devices the previous day, I had left the door open. I hurried to the storeroom to check, only to find that all the ham sausages were gone. Had a zombie stolen from me? "Aldrich," I said, threatening to cut off his food supply, angrily. I walked to the pit's edge and noticed something was off with Aldrich. He lay there listlessly, his skin flushing red, reddening skin. Can zombies overeat to the point of fever? Puzzled, I watched as Aldrich suddenly opened his eyes, let out a sharp howl, and struck the ground with his claw, creating a deep pit. Had he upgraded again? Eating ham sausages caused an upgrade. Before, I didn't store many ham sausages, but there was a sausage factory about 20 kilometers away. I decided to check it out with Aldrich to see if any sausages were left and to pick up some barbed wire and a generator, because there were restrictions on buying gasoline. I didn't have much left from before the apocalypse and wanted to see if I could get some at a gas station. The post-apocalyptic city was desolate, with cars abandoned all over the roadsides. I tried siphoning gasoline using methods from the internet, and to my surprise, it worked. I hadn't even reached the gas station before my containers were full. However, I wasn't so lucky with the ham sausages. The factory had been completely emptied, not even minced meat was left. With no choice, I dismantled the generator to take it back. Perhaps because I had the zombie king with me, we only encountered a few scattered small zombies along the way, and they didn't dare approach, which made my journey rather pleasant. The generator was too heavy, and no matter how I tried to show Aldrich, he wouldn't help carry it. I couldn't move it myself, so I had to strap it with a chain and drag it behind the car. After resolving the generator issue, I had Aldrich follow along the factory's perimeter wall and had him lift all the barbed wire from the factory. I was planning to take it back with me, but it was then that I realized I had a big problem, including the wire mesh that needed to be hauled back to make a defensive net. My little pickup truck just couldn't handle the load, so I had Aldrich's waist, lean and strong, looking just right for hauling loads. Boss, the ham sausages were already finished. With a pang of pain, I took out a can of luncheon meat, pulled open the lid myself, and swung it back and forth in front of Aldrich, wafting the scent of meat under his nose, which made his eyes bulge with anticipation. Help me out, will you? My original plan was to have Aldrich act as a sort of human transport machine. Unexpectedly, Aldrich growled lowly, and the zombies wandering nearby slowly drew closer, then stopped orderly. I had no idea how he understood me, but he did. Taking a closer look into Aldrich's eyes, they seemed clearer than they had been a couple of days ago. You can understand me, right? Aldrich remained quiet, his goal clear. He bit into the luncheon meat, his mouth so large that it almost included my hand, which frightened me into instantly letting go. It took me a moment to realize he knew where my hand was, so he didn't bite. What really is the biggest difference between zombies and humans? Why do some zombies regain their senses and turn back into humans later on? Filled with intense curiosity, I reached out and placed my hand over his chest. It was as quiet as a wall there, no warmth, no beating. I felt a bit disheartened. It wasn't my first time experiencing the apocalypse. What was I really hoping for? Aldrich looked at me blankly, slowly raising his hand with nails too long, and placed it on my chest. Perhaps it was the beating of my heart that intrigued him. He leaned closer, squatted down, and pressed his ear against me, listening quietly for a long time. After a moment of breathlessness, I quickly stepped back 2 paces. Feeling an indescribable eeriness. He is a zombie, not a human. A zombie, dead, cold, mute. Taking a deep breath, I found some hemp rope in the factory and carefully tied the wire mesh around the zombie. Just like that, I drove the little pickup, leading hundreds of zombies, and triumphantly returned home. Though it took over 4 hours to get there, what would have taken over a week to haul was done in one day. I was unspeakably thrilled and rewarded Aldrich with another can of food. 09. Getting the wire mesh home was easy, but setting it up nearly drove me to tear my hair out. Each zombie was stiffer than the last. They were okay for heavy lifting, but asking them to help set up the wire mesh was like asking for the moon. So, by the time I spent over half a month setting up the wire mesh and electrifying it, Alexis, tied to a tree, had already wilted. I had completely forgotten about his existence. I hurriedly killed a rabbit and threw it over, but Alexis didn't get it. Aldrich leaped and caught it directly in his mouth. I almost forgot, he is also a hungry wolf. The luncheon meat cans, which were supposed to last 3 years, were gone in less than a month, all into his stomach. With my supplies hollowed out, Aldrich had been hungry for a whole day, but perhaps because he was well fed, Aldrich's speed and agility increased, his complexion began to turn ruddy, and his intelligence seemed higher. I never thought I'd one day worry about feeding a zombie. As soon as this project ended, I set off with Aldrich on a journey to find more ham sausages. I pulled out an old map from before the apocalypse. I found the 2 closest farms to me. One was 35 kilometers east, a chicken farm, and the other a bit further, 42 kilometers south, a pig farm. Driving for over an hour, I arrived at the deserted chicken farm. There were no chickens or eggs in sight, just chicken droppings and feathers scattered all over, with a sack in hand. I didn't even spare the chicken droppings. I shoveled them up to take back for biogas fermentation. I packed up all the chicken feed, dismantled the incubator, and on my way out, I also took down the surveillance cameras. After raiding the chicken farm, my pickup truck was full. I went home, found some old video recordings, set up the surveillance system, and then drove towards the pig farm. The temperature had dropped over the past few days, but the solar panels I installed were plentiful and more than enough to keep the surveillance system running. The road to the pig farm was in better condition, but the scene was just as desolate. With the pigsty collapsed, I was prepared to leave with just pig manure, when suddenly I heard grunting noises from a crack in the wall. Looking through the hole, there was a large pig lying under a collapsed beam, munching on moss, next to the sow. Several skinny piglets were sucking on a withered teat. It was a jackpot. I had Aldrich remove the roof, and effortlessly caught a few piglets. While trying to capture the mother pig, Aldrich looked disgusted and uninterested. "You're a zombie and you find this dirty." I rolled my eyes at him and single-handedly dragged the mother pig onto the trailer. Perhaps it was all the farm work, but I felt myself getting stronger. I cleared out the pig farm's feed inventory, and on my way out, I eyed their large livestock truck, despite its stench. It was big and could carry a lot, but unfortunately, I couldn't find the keys and had to give up, returning home fully loaded. That evening I placed the fertile eggs in the incubator, fed the piglets and the mother pig some boiled feed, and reluctantly killed a rabbit to feed Aldrich. After feeding, I remembered Alexis in the backyard and had to pry the rabbit's head from Aldrich's mouth to feed Alexis. Aldrich was visibly annoyed, grunting fiercely at me all the way and refusing to go back to his pit at night, instead blocking my bedroom door. "Aldrich," I said, poking him hard in the chest, suddenly feeling a strange sensation under my fingertips. His chest. I paused, then slowly brought my ear close to it. I was greeted by a long silence, and just when I was about to give up, a heavy thump sounded by my ear. Aldrich's skin was still cold, his complexion still pale, but unbeknownst to me, he had developed a heartbeat. It took me a full half-hour to count Aldrich's heartbeat, averaging one beat every half-hour. What caused these changes? Time, or food? The next day, I planned to gather more supplies, but woke up to find the mother pig dead. I had to quickly deal with it, since there was still some cured meat left from before, and the mother pig's meat wasn't tasty. I ended up feeding it to Aldrich and Alexis. Alexis seemed to enjoy it, but Aldrich was less enthusiastic. He has a taste for ham sausages and luncheon meat, but where am I supposed to find those this year? Then it struck me, before moving back to the village, I lived in a residential area next to someone who ran an e-commerce business selling ham sausages and luncheon meat. Could she still have some in stock? After dealing with the mother pig and feeding the piglets, I didn't delay and drove straight to the neighborhood I used to live in, since the safe zone was established in T-City. Most people had been relocated there, leaving only a few wandering zombies in C-City. At the onset of the apocalypse, many shops and malls were looted. The factory market was not spared either. Instead, some e-commerce warehouses were brimming with stock. Seeing a house full of spam and sausages, Aldrich's eyes lit up, and he eagerly extended his long claws to pry open a can and start eating. Inside the house, a starving zombie neighbor lay collapsed, trembling like a rug on the floor. I wasn't sure if she would be the lucky one, but I fed her a piece of pork and left her 100 cans. Her inventory filled my truck, and Aldrich kept eating non-stop in the passenger seat all the way. When we passed a bridal shop at the mall, I smashed the glass door and picked out a suit for him, which fit reasonably well. You can't tell by the clothes or the saddle, but once he put on that little suit and applied a bit of blush, you couldn't even tell he was a zombie. If we could really survive these 10 years, forget it. Who knows if the zombie king could be the lucky one to be revived. Let's just live like this. Being a pet isn't so bad. On the way back to the orchard, I saw huge tire tracks on the ground, and my heart instantly lifted. He had come, sure enough, just as we entered the orchard. We were surrounded by a group of armed men. I calmed the restless Aldrich and obediently followed the men back to my house. My house was now surrounded by many large trucks, the gate had been pried open, and the yard was filled with large iron cages on my lush pea sprouts, containing dozens of zombies. Looking up, in the sunny yard, a man in a white lab coat leaned against the windowsill, leisurely drinking my soda. We looked at each other across the yard. He raised his glass from his superior position and toasted, "Cheers, go inside." The person behind me pushed me hard, causing Aldrich to growl in dissatisfaction, but fortunately, I quickly grabbed his arm before he could lash out. With my arrival, the yard erupted with the famished howls of zombies, but usually, they would quiet down like chickens at the sight of Aldrich. Why would they dare howl at me? Could it be that Aldrich had upgraded again? So much so that the zombies couldn't recognize him as the Zombie King? I was puzzled, but my thoughts were quickly interrupted. Where is your zombie king? The man in the lab coat seemed to ask casually, but his eyes were fixed on Aldrich. Oh, have you added a new member to the family? He seemed not to recognize Aldrich. What exactly do you want? The man smiled, poured himself another soda, and pointed at Alexis, who was locked in a cage alone. Don't be so tense. I'm just curious about the results of my experiment. Came to check it out. What do you mean, seeing how well you've trained the zombies? I specifically brought you some new material to see if you can train another zombie king. I then understood that the appearance of Alexis was not a coincidence, but what I didn't understand was how, just 2 months into the apocalypse, he had found out about me and knew of the existence of the zombie king. At that time, humans were busy trying to survive, and zombies had not yet mutated. The concept of a zombie king didn't even exist. Who are you? Smith, but everyone prefers to call me Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, could it be the Dr. Smith who developed the mutant zombies? Why me? Oh, that question. It's just because your security measures weren't good enough. Someone escaped to Basie in the city and reported the situation of your orchard and house. Basie, the largest survivor base in the country, known for having the fewest zombies and the strongest firepower, but in the 8th year of the apocalypse, the zombie king suddenly appeared, causing Basie to fall. Dr. Smith, who was fleeing in a vehicle filled with a large number of mutated zombies, met a gruesome fate when his vehicle overturned and he was torn to pieces by the very zombies he had nurtured. Aldrich was not a completely senseless zombie, considering his current state of recovery. It's possible that in 8 years, Aldrich might have regained his humanity. Why would he target a survivor's base? What was the feud between Dr. Smith and Aldrich, at first? I was just curious to see if you were really preparing for the apocalypse. I sent someone to probe around and unexpectedly discovered a zombie king, a 1 in a million, truly unique zombie king, even considering it's only been a month since the zombie outbreak began. How could he identify from Aldrich's slight differences that he was the zombie king? Earlier on the walkie-talkie, he also mentioned it. Could it be that he, too, had been reborn? Dr. Smith chuckled and pointed towards the zombie cage in the yard. Miss, we could collaborate. I'll offer you the utmost security, and in return, you could share with me the methods to tame zombies and cultivate a zombie king. What do you say? My mind raced, and suddenly, a better idea struck me. I can't trust the security you offer, but perhaps we could arrange a different type of collaboration. You supply me with arms, and I'll provide you with the methods. Dr. Smith appeared surprised but quickly agreed. In that case, I hope it's not too much trouble to have Miss around for a while, thinking you could stay for free. It's no trouble really, just pay the rent on time, 50 cans of lunch and meat per person per day. You can pay monthly or daily. Dr. Smith smiled, snapped his fingers, and behind him, someone visibly annoyed dragged out an entire wall of lunch and meat cans, with what's in my car. That should keep Aldrich more than satisfied. Dr. Smith, I am a girl after all, and I'm not comfortable living with others. Please, don't enter the house. Thinking about the big surprise I was about to give him, I smiled, eyes crinkling, and ascended the stairs with Aldrich confidently. Taming zombies, is it? I'll train them well for you. That night, I had Aldrich devour the half a truckload of lunch and meat cans. Aldrich's skin quickly turned red, and his eyes became clearer. Life and death matter. You must listen to me tomorrow. I pinched Aldrich's cheek hard, surprised to find it somewhat soft. Is he really on the verge of becoming human again? I pressed my ear against his chest, eyes on the clock. In half an hour, his heart beat twice. As I got up, Aldrich stubbornly put his head against mine again, like he was afraid I'd take advantage of him. He insisted on reciprocating wherever I touched. I stood stiffly, and after a moment, a nearly inaudible breath fell on my chest. I admit I was a bit too reactive. But by the time I realized it, my hand had already slapped Aldrich across the face. He blinked, somewhat dazed and confused, even looking a bit hurt. Fortunately, he didn't insist on slapping me back, otherwise, a slap from a zombie king might have cost me my head. Early the next morning, after ordering Dr. Smith's men to help feed the pigs and clean up, I finally sat down with him face to face. Shall we begin? I smiled and nodded, embellishing the story of feeding Aldrich. Dr. Smith pondered for a long while, unwilling to believe, and I had Alexis demonstrate for him. Sit down. Alexis obediently sat. Stand up. Alexis stood again. How did you manage that? Dr. Smith was still skeptical. I've tried everything from starvation to food temptation, even electric shocks, and never achieved such results. Believe it or not, I did it. Dr. Smith was silent for a long time, then had several heavy boxes brought out from behind him. One box contained 10 guns. The others held bullets and hand grenades. I wasn't sure about the authenticity of these items, so I just accepted them. After all, as long as he couldn't tame zombies successfully, he wouldn't dare touch me. One more question. Where is your zombie king? Dr. Smith asked with a smile. Her eyes were fixed intently on Aldrich, devoid of any hint of jest. I clasped Aldrich's hand, watched as a smile involuntarily spread across his face, and returned it with a radiant grin, feeling indescribably smug. People always need some tricks to survive, don't they, dear? Smith scoffed coldly, unable to even maintain a forced smile. Miss, it's the apocalypse. Do you know how crucial research on the Zombie King is for ending this apocalypse? Yes? You know how desperately people are struggling to survive in these apocalyptic times. Why should I play the saint when Dr. Smith himself has unleashed this hellish reality? He paused, then suddenly bent over, clutching his stomach with laughter. You're smarter than I thought. I'm not smart. I've just experienced a few more years and know a bit more, during those 10 years of apocalypse, piecing together known events. It was easy to discover that the so-called apocalypse was never a natural disaster, but a man-made one. This person deserves death. As night fell, the surroundings were eerily silent. I knelt on the bed, pressing my forehead against Aldrich's, trying my best to convey my thoughts to him. I realized something. The closer I was to him, the better he seemed to understand my words. You have to help me. After finishing, I cradled his head, reviewing the current plan in my mind. Aldrich remained very quiet, so quiet that I wasn't even sure if he understood. The area outside the door was full of spies. I dared not risk speaking more. Did you understand? Aldrich blinked, his lips curving into a smile involuntarily, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was the Zombie King, capable of issuing commands to other zombies at frequencies humans couldn't hear, given the complexity of the plan. I could only hope his comprehension was perfect, since it's all set. Let's get a good night's sleep to check the results tomorrow. I pulled up the blanket to sleep, and Aldrich shamelessly snuggled in too. Get out, I whispered. He blinked his large eyes. Not only did he not leave, but he also pressed closer until he pressed his forehead against mine so hard that my head buzzed. He was really persistent in imitating me, listening to the noises outside. I reluctantly covered his head with the blanket, letting him sleep in the bed for the night. The next morning, I got up early and pretended to pick up firewood, scouting the area for a week. It was quiet in the orchard, and I finally relaxed. Thankfully, he understood, knowing there were people around. I picked up some firewood and went back, and found excuses to leave again by noon. Dr. Smith was very suspicious. He wouldn't trust my methods verbally and would definitely have someone follow me secretly. But if I made it too easy for him to discover the truth, he would be suspicious. So I continued to find excuses to go out for several days, always returning home quietly without incident. This went on for over a week, and Alexis's training was still ineffective, causing Dr. Smith to start doubting me. Mrs. Methods seemed to have lost their effect after the first few days. I pretended to be embarrassed and anxious, and left as usual to pick up firewood in the orchard. That evening, while they were feeding rabbits to Alexis, I quietly slipped a piece of medication in. The next day during training, Alexis was noticeably more obedient. Unexpectedly, just one day later, Mrs. Method worked again. I returned to my room with a sour expression, but secretly I was thrilled inside. Go on, search for the so-called secret. I guarantee you'll be in for quite a surprise. In fact, not long after the apocalypse began, animals and plants started mutating. But their mutations were slower compared to the zombies and initially went unnoticed until the middle to later stages when people began to study them. If Dr. Smith is indeed reborn, he's likely to recognize which plants and animals have mutated, though he may not know their effects. Seeing me feed the zombies with mutated plants, he will surely send someone to covertly gather them for study. Once his men are dispersed, they can be taken down one by one, without his armed guards. I'd like to see how he manages. As expected, that afternoon Dr. Smith's people went out in groups. Aldrich's undead minions were already lurking in the mountains, and with Aldrich, the Zombie King, guiding them, the zombies would silently surround Dr. Smith's men, making them disappear without a trace. By nightfall, none of those who went out had returned, and Dr. Smith started to sense something was wrong and forcefully entered my room, but at that moment, what he saw was not me, but the surveillance monitor I had removed from the pig farm. It was surprisingly still functional after some repairs. Nicola, how dare you deceive me, Dr. Smith immediately shot the monitor to pieces. Just like that, he would surely find me soon. Aldrich and I were hiding in the woods, with Aldrich quietly taking care of Dr. Smith's men while I continuously changed locations to avoid being found. His car couldn't drive in, so he would definitely come on foot. Dr. Smith is cautious and wouldn't follow rashly. Discovering that I had installed surveillance, he would suspect I had made other preparations, so he would stay in his car. What he didn't know was that, during the days he was training Alexis, Aldrich had instructed Alexis to place a cylinder filled with sevoflurane in his car. As soon as he sat in the car, Alexis would turn the switch on command, and the gas would leak out, causing Dr. Smith to lose consciousness due to inhaling an excessive dose of the anesthetic. When I returned home, it finally quieted down. As I opened the car door to drag out the bodies of Dr. Smith and others, a gun was suddenly pointed at the back of my head. I shivered, unbelieving, and turned around only to find, to my astonishment, Dr. Smith. Unexpected. I stiffened. Indeed, it was unexpected. Speak. Where is your zombie king? How did you tame him? And how did he become a zombie king? Speak. I opened my mouth, but before I could say anything, Dr. Smith harshly struck my head with the butt of his gun. I clutched my head, dizzy, and pulled out the pistol from my waist, aiming to fire as taught, but to my shock, the gun merely clicked, empty. Did you think I'd give you a real gun? Dr. Smith sneered, aiming the gun directly at me. No matter, I'll figure it out sooner or later. As the gunshot rang out, my heart constricted, and a dark figure threw itself in front of me, Aldrich. Aldrich looked down bewilderedly at the bullet that had ricocheted off the ground. His first instinct was to stoop down to help me up. Dr. Smith, in disbelief, stared at his gun. You're unharmed. Shot and still nothing. No, you're not human. You're a zombie. No, wait, why aren't the other zombies afraid of you? Who are you, really? Who are you? I struggled to stand up, holding on to Aldrich's hand. He is the king of the zombies. After a long silence, Dr. Smith burst out laughing. Impossible. If he were the king of the zombies, why would the others show no reaction? Because he has evolved, slowly becoming more human, evolving towards humanity. I've put so much effort into creating zombies that feel no pain and possess incredible speed and strength, and you're telling me they're evolving back into humans. What was the point of all my work then? You're lying. You're just making this up, Dr. Smith was furiously swearing and suddenly pulled out a gun, firing several shots at Aldrich's head. Even the usually calm Aldrich lost his temper, and with one slap, he sent Dr. Smith flying several meters. Dr. Smith crashed into my door, damaging it. Where am I supposed to find someone to fix the door now? All the effort to keep my house intact, and it wasn't the villain who damaged it, but you. I was so angry that I stomped on Aldrich, hurting my own foot. It can't be. It can't be possible. Dr. Smith was still rolling on the ground, cursing non-stop. Outside, Aldrich's zombie minions, including those who were once Dr. Smith's subordinates, had completed their mission and gathered together. Aldrich then picked up Dr. Smith, imitating how I fed the rabbits, and threw him to his zombie minions. Before I could intervene, Dr. Smith was torn apart. I wanted to ask him if he had been reborn, but never mind, it's time for the last task. I drove the car loaded with military arms to the crossroads, set it on fire, and with a soaring explosion, the only road leading to the orchard collapsed. It seemed no one would disturb my peaceful days anymore. Let's go, Aldrich. Time to feed the pigs and rabbits. If you don't hurry and feed them, you'll run out of food. Also, get your minions to clear the land. Who has the money to feed so many idle zombies? If they don't work, they don't eat. 10 years. In the blink of an eye, I was fiddling with the radio on the table, really frustrated. Aldrich, did you take the nut I left on the table? This guy was learning to fix radios and had just dismantled the one I had repaired. Aldrich blinked his big eyes, looking innocently, so infuriating. In 10 years, he looked exactly the same, not aging at all. Richie, search. Richie sniffed around his feet and immediately started barking. He had taken it indeed. Under my threatening gaze, Aldrich reluctantly pulled out the nut. I assembled all the parts of the radio, and suddenly, static came through. Is there a signal? I tried tuning the channel. And suddenly, a male voice came through the radio. Channel N185 resumes broadcasting today, October 1st, 2032. Today marks the end of the 10-year zombie disaster, and humanity has finally won the ultimate victory. I stared blankly at the calendar on the wall, torn to shreds by Aldrich, and suddenly tears welled up in my eyes. We won, Aldrich, we've won, 10 years, and it's finally over.